Hello everyone.
Hello, Gordon Freeman. It's good to see you.
Today we're going to do some nice theory crafting on why Gordon Freeman is a mute protagonist. Did Valve intentionally make the main protagonist of their debut game mute? According to Half-Life writer Mark Laidlaw, yes, Gordon Freeman was made mute so that the player could feel a higher degree of immersion and subjectiveness while experiencing the campaign. But are we satisfied with Mark Laidlaw's answer? Let's try and reflect in depth on why Gordon Freeman is mute and if his muteness fits the first game of the Half-Life franchise. First of all, let's start from some basic gaming knowledge. Unlike today, where most of games' protagonists have a voice and are willing to interact with the NPCs surrounding them, before the 2000s, or I dare say, even up until 2006, silent protagonists were quite common, especially in FPS games. The Doom guy, the Quake guy were both silent protagonists, and we are all aware now both Quake and Doom paved the way for future FPS games, Half-Life included. Just think about how the Golden City engine is based on Quake's engine. Let's open a parenthesis on protagonists who did speak in games, like Serious Sam's or Blood the Protagonists. Sure, these characters did speak, but only talked to affirm their personality through either angsty or boastful remarks, while at the same time stealing a smile from the player.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye.
Their speech, plot-wise, had zero to no impact. The same could be said about Mario or Sonic, but let's get back to Half-Life. My first question that I'll answer by myself is Gordon Freeman muteness a remnant of these other classic FPS games? Perhaps. Maybe Valve acknowledged that even though the Doom guy was mute, it didn't matter for the players, who still bought and dearly enjoyed ID Software games. Or perhaps Valve wanted to follow Quake or Doom footsteps by thinking that giving the ability to speak to an FPS protagonist was not a requirement for an FPS success, and thus Laidlaw's explanation on Gordon Freeman muteness could be just a smart excuse to further advertise their game. At the end of the day, Gordon Freeman might not have a voice, but he sure has an immediately recognizable face and outfit that might alienate the player from the subjectiveness that is so praised by Half-Life fans and Laidlaw. Not everyone has red hair and is as handsome as Gordon Freeman. I myself am very different from Gordon Freeman, and while playing Half-Life, I don't think I'm playing as myself, but as Gordon Freeman, a 27-year-old PhD laureate working in Black Mesa and boasting a very unprofessional ponytail. Hell, even the main menu showcases Gordon Freeman's face in full display, which kinda underlines that you're playing as Gordon Freeman, the protagonist of Half-Life, not as yourself. However, I want to add that there is one very smart sequence thanks to which the player truly feels as if he's wearing Gordon's suit, and it's also the only section in the game where we can hear Gordon producing some form of noise. I'm talking about Gordon's panting right after the resonance cascade happens. Now, let's stop for a second to ask ourselves this question. Is Gordon Freeman just silent or entirely mute? A big difference between other classic FPS and Half-Life is that while other classic FPS have their characters emitting the iconic grunts when the character jumps, in Half-Life this does not happen at all. Gordon Freeman seems to be entirely mute, and the only thing you can hear is the thumping of his athletic body on the ground. This one aspect makes me think that Gordon Freeman is actually mute. However, we all know that Half-Life is very different from Quake because it sort of has a storyline and some form of NPC interaction, especially in the starting Anomalous Materials chapter, where guards and scientists salute Gordon, talk to him about everyday topics or work-related stuff, or dismiss him nervously because they only want to talk to him after the experiment. And in this way, they introduce the player to the hazardous task they will have to shortly perform, and making them question at the same time around the safety of this experiment. Now imagine Gordon was to answer to his colleagues about small talk stuff. He would have sounded incredibly boring and well-mannered too. Imagine him politely replying hello and good morning to everyone. It would be quite cringy to hear and play as a Frenchman. I want to remind how the personality of most video games protagonists during the 2000s was the aggressive, bad boy, edgy type of personality.
I'm Duke Nukem, and I'm coming to get the rest of you alien bastards.
So Gordon politely answering back to everyone wouldn't have been cool at all. But what if they characterized Gordon Freeman as a devious and deceitful guy? It couldn't have worked, or else the Half-Life plot wouldn't develop further. Imagine Gordon Freeman trying to convince Barney to let him through without a suit on, and just dying inside the chamber. Or straight up refusing to take part in the crazy crystal experiment that the scientists had planned him to be part of. If that was the case, the game would have ended there. In addition to this, let's take a moment to reflect on Gordon Freeman's characterization, which is established during the train ride. Gordon Freeman is just a young 27 years old, surrounded by old scientists who have taken science to its limits, and even if he had a voice, he probably wouldn't have been able to refuse going into the chamber or stopping the experiments altogether, because his colleagues stand on a higher plane in the Black Mesa personnel hierarchy. They are his superiors, and he can only oblige. That's pretty much what hazing is. We know Gordon Freeman is a subordinate, because during the train ride a text, coming from God knows where, informs us that Gordon Freeman's role is research assistant, and an assistant always has a master to heed orders from. Gordon Freeman is thus just a cog in the huge Black Mesa machine, and can only comply. He cannot speak even if he could. So he enters the test chamber without questioning anything, cause he's a good boy, pushes the highest purity sample and boom, shit hits the fan. The resonance cascade certainly has a huge impact on the Black Mesa facility. From a tidy and apparently secure space, it gets turned into an hellish maze filled with slimy aliens with malfunctioning doors and elevators impeding an easy escape. However, it's not just the environment changing. In fact, Gordon's social ranking skyrockets, and consequently he becomes pretty much the authority amongst his colleagues, whom, from bossing him around, are now sobbing and pleading him for help. This is because Gordon now wears the HEV suit and they don't. He's now one of the few with an HEV suit on, and thus the only one capable to navigate somewhat safely around Black Mesa. In addition, the HEV now speaks for Gordon Freeman, turning him into a boss, and bosses don't have any need to speak with their inferiors. The HEV transforms Gordon from a man of science to a man of action. He now can traverse halls full of bloodthirsty marines because the HEV acts as a bulletproof vest, or navigate through corridors incidented with boiling steam, scorching heat, freezing cold, and toxic wastes, which are no problem for the HEV armored Gordon Freeman. Moreover, even though Gordon does not speak, the HEV suit suffices this lack of words by sometimes informing Gordon and the player on its status or giving advices on how not to die.
Major fracture detected. Adrenaline administered.
With its robotical yet astoundingly feminine voice.
Wound sterilized.
I don't know about you guys, but I love the HEV suit lines. Even though they're just cold remarks, they kinda succeed in keeping you company throughout the lonesome campaign while being very coherent with Half-Life sci-fi setting. Even the science team and guards have their own voice lines and personalities.
Ooh, something died down here.
Helping in a way in not making Half-Life 1 an experience similar to watching an early 20th century mute film. The cascade also changes the interactions with the scientists. All the initial friendliness is gone, and nobody ever asks Gordon if he's okay, hurt, or in need of some help. They only ask him to perform certain tasks. It's understandable, since everyone is too worried about their own safety. Just think about the treatment Barney gets after helping the scientist out with restoring the teleport machine in Blue Shift.
This is no time for games, Calhoun. Good. Now keep turning the crank until the pressure level reaches normal. Main charge meter reaches full. I'll need you to open the displacement field from the control room. I'm going to go through next, but don't worry, Mr. Calhoun. I've set the system to automatically start the charging sequence once I've put it through. Just wait for the levels to reach full again and open the field like you've been doing. Thank God you made it. I was worried that a malfunction occurred at the last moment and you might have been caught in an infinite harmonic reflux.
The scientists are indeed true assholes. There are also no women to court or confess your emotions to, and just hear how everybody starts acting up in decay when talking to Jean and Colette.
The orange in that suit really brings out your eyes. You look good in orange.
Words in general are either a vessel for emotion or request. Unlike Half-Life 2, in Half-Life 1 there is little to no emotions involved, thus there is no need for Gordon Freeman to speak. In fact, Half-Life proves that Gordon Freeman is a man of action and has no time to gesture around with words. But Gordon Freeman is not a brute either. Much like the perfect courtesan, he's a man of reason as well, since he managed to achieve a PhD and landed a job in a very high technology and security facility. However, Gordon Freeman in Half-Life only speaks through his actions. Let's reflect on how in the game ending, you don't accept G-Man offer by stating yes, you just walk inside the portal.
Time to choose.
Now, I have a final point to make about how much Gordon Freeman being mute fits the whole high security facility setting inside which Half-Life takes place. Just think about it, there's nothing better than a mute Guinea pig if you have to push science and the world boundaries to its limits. If anything remotely goes wrong, Gordon Freeman cannot inform his friends or his family about how dangerous the secret experiments involving aliens and dimensional breaches are. You might argue that he can still write or send messages, but we cannot be sure that the emails or letters being sent out are not under surveillance or under some form of censorship. In the end, everything happening inside the facility is top secret information type of stuff, hence I suppose the freedom of speech wasn't so allowed inside Black Mesa. So yeah, Gordon Freeman muteness entirely fits both the gameplay and the atmosphere of Half-Life 1, and it's very coherent with Gordon Freeman characterization as well. It is also common knowledge that STEM students experience serious difficulties in articulating their thoughts through words, because numbers and cold facts is the only thing they care about, and the only thing they're good at, not expressing emotion through speech. So yeah, this is my theory on whether or not on why Gordon Freeman is mute. I hope it makes sense. Bye.